back to the channel. We're going to talk about what we just got through living through. The tornado was pretty wild, and I was grateful for the people that I have met lately in the community that were, reaching out saying, hey, there's some people that we need to help. There's, what can we do to help? And it turns out that a lot of people are willing to help one another, and it really helps to already have that set up. That's one of the big takeaways from the tornadoes. How many? 19?
19.
There was 19 tornadoes that ripped through here, and it's the worst I've seen. Now, I haven't seen a bunch of tornado damage, but quite a bit.
Well, before we go any further, let's make sure we have audio. We're not talking to ourselves. Give us a thumbs up if we've got audio, because I'm not seeing it on the chat.
Hit the thumbs up.
It was
audio check. I think we're good.
Yeah, okay, good. So it was. We didn't expect to get hit, and at the last minute it turned. And
well, here's what happened.
I was in town.
Stacey decided to go to town.
I didn't know we were going to have 19 tornadoes.
There was a warning.
When I was in town.
When you were here, there was a warning too.
Was there? I don't remember that one.
There was a warning. Well, maybe it was something. And it was looking kind of funky, and she went to town anyway. Well, town's about 25
miles
28 minutes away. And so when it started getting bad, I said, Stacey, you got to get home. And I mean now. She's like, well, I want to go this way. I was like, no, you've got to go this other way, because I knew from another community member that some roads had already been shut down from high winds and stuff. And I was watching the weather on my phone. This is when we had internet. We hadn't had internet
since Monday evening.
Since Monday. And you could see the sails coming through a certain area, and you could kind of tell where they were going, and it was going right towards her. And I told her I kind of guided her around the tornado. And it's a very good thing, because where she was going got nailed. I mean, there is fence, power lines, telephone poles, and trees all mangled together and piled up. It's nuts.
Well, actually, a woman lost her life.
A woman lost her life. Some kids are badly injured. The grandma was pinned in the trailer. And I'm talking 2 or 3 miles from here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, really bad just right up the road. And it turns out I just met a guy.
Yep.
I bought some drums from him. Check it out. I found some drums that have only had soap in them. Like 30-gallon plastic drums. Can you imagine what you could use those for?
Well, he's going to show you soon.
Yeah, there will be a video about it.
He just built a floating duck house. Anyway, back to the tornado.
So anyway, I thought I would check on them first, because they're an older couple, and so I went and took the trailer and tractor and my brush forks and everything down there to check on them. And it turns out it was their neighbors. It was their next door neighbors
that
had passed away. And it's really sad to just, you're talking about out of nowhere, So
well, I guess Chris and I were talking about it this week, because we haven't had internet. Unless we had a community, we've had limited access of, kind of what's going on and what's happening.
It knocked down some cell phone towers as well. It must have. I have, and this is a good tip for anybody that suffers with cell phone signal issues. Wilson makes a signal booster, and they have one that does a radius, which isn't very good in my opinion, and they have another one that's called a Yogi antenna. It's a triangle antenna, and you can point it right at the tower, and it will give you the signal from that tower. So it's like a directional antenna. Well, for some reason, when I look on my map, the tower's not there anymore. So I don't know if it's just out of commission or it's actually gone. But I know I have 0 service in my shop. 1 bar. Sometimes I have 1 bar, sometimes I don't. And it's been a real bummer. I've missed a lot of calls. I've missed a lot of text messages. I've missed a lot of pictures. And it makes me, as soon as it started happening, it made me think of walkie-talkies. Yeah. Like, man, we've got to have a CB, a walkie-talkie. We need all of those things. Like...
Go pass them out to our neighbors.
Like we actually use them, like they're up and running. That's one of the takeaways. The other takeaway is you need a safe place to get. And it can be as easy as a a metal table that's bolted to the concrete floor that you have sides that fold down. I mean, something that would be easy for me, but I'm a welder. What is something else you noticed?
So when I was driving home, so I walk out of Tractor Supply and I see a man run into his car. I got to get home to my wife, and alerts are going off on my phone, but I'm guilty. How many times do alerts go off on your phone and you really don't take them serious? Because sometimes they do, and I didn't really take it serious. And so I head to a grocery store. So a couple takeaways I did. As we've talked about it before, you've got to have food on hand. I went to one grocery store. There were literally guys standing in front of the door, and they would not let me in, remember? Because I was actually going to take shelter there. Chris is like, you've got to find some place to take shelter because one's coming out of the 19 that came. I went to the bank, so I was going to try to get some money. As we've talked about it before, you guys, I was going to cash a check. They wouldn't even let me in the door. Power was down. Another takeaway, thank God I had cash on hand. And I found another grocery store. They opened the doors, and I was able to get a few items. Headed home. But like Chris said, those were a couple things that you got to have food. You've got to have cash on hand. You've got to have access of water, because these people down the street, we were very fortunate. It literally was coming toward us, and it seemed to split, and it went on both sides of us.
Our road's probably 5-6 miles long.
Yeah. And
one end's fine, my end.
And the other side is decimated.
And the other side is just demolished.
They said it's the worst since it's been since '99, I think, when it came through a big tornado. But we had 19 anyway. So practically though, our rent house got hit, and I learned you need to have tarps on hand. If you can't get in a store, there's things I learned like that. You need to have flashlights.
Tarps are cheap. That's for sure. You need to have several tarps.
Yep.
And you can get better ones. I have a big roll of plastic, 50 millimeter. It's real thick plastic. You could just about use it to build stuff with. A big 20-foot roll, so I'm covered there. But tarps, that's a really good one. You get a hole knocked in your roof, you can just tarp it real quick. That's what I had to do for them. A dehumidifier.
Huge.
That's a big, and that's even for just everyday life. We have one in our house, and we like to sleep about 68 degrees with Louisiana humidity. If you'll hook a dehumidifier up, you can run your thermostat up to like 72, 73, 74, and still sleep fine. So you're saving a ton of electricity, because it's hard on an air conditioner to push it down to 68 degrees on these 90-degree nights. So that's a big plus.
Well, we took that to the rent house.
Right, we were able to take that out of the house and put it in the rent house, because that hole knocked in the top of it, and there was water coming through the ceiling fan and everywhere else. So it's actually sucking the moisture out of there as we speak. I hope it's about dry.
And like duct tape, flashlights, batteries, things that you don't. I just kind of put back. Candles. I was able to cook. You need to have a way to cook when your electricity's out. Our generator obviously was wonderful. So we were very fortunate. We didn't get a lot of debris. A lot of people did. But Chris was able, because we had formed the community, we were reaching out to people going, hey, what do you guys need? And you need a chainsaw? If not, find somebody that has a chainsaw.
It was so nice. It was so nice to have, the tractor and the rake on the back of it and the brush forks on the front and a sharp chainsaw. And I mean, we were ready to clean up in
you were down the road and helping them.
It was, when you come across after a storm happens, it's like everybody wants to show up and see what happened and pick up a few sticks. And then like the day after, it's like, well, I've already done that. That's actually when people need it, is like 2 and 3 and 4 days later. Like there's people that still couldn't get in their driveway.
There's
they had
no
oak trees that
electricity.
were 40 inches in diameter across their driveway. Being able to move that out of the way and just kind of pick things up to where it looks like they're not living in devastation. That seemed to really help the morale, because that's down when everything you've got's torn up, and there's trees on your cars and on your house, and your house is leaking, and you can't even get in your driveway. If you just help people get in there by cleaning up the front and even raking up the sticks and leaves and stuff, that seemed to really help.
And also the looters. our community was awesome. They sent a bus out there with our sheriff's office, and because that's another thing you have when you have that kind of stuff, you've got looters that'll come out.
I didn't see any of that.
I heard there were. The Bossier
I don't
sent
doubt it.
the Bossier sent a bus out.
Yeah, I saw the bus. The Red Cross was here. The several sheriffs, bucket trucks by the hundreds, setting telephone poles and getting electricity up. They are fast. I mean, I'm impressed
Well,
on how fast they can get a telephone pole in the ground and move on.
They did. So here was the thing: is our area was not expecting to get hit, so they actually sent our electrical people, SWEPCO, to Texas because if you guys all know, Houston got hit horrible, and so when we got hit, they were having to call our guys back, and apparently it was like 24 hours before they could get back. So it was a delay. A church stepped up. Everybody started bringing food, water. It was free. People come pick it up. So having a community is, I think, one of the biggest takeaways that we took, and we've been really trying, especially you lately, to reach out to our local community, not just the YouTube channel.
Yeah, everything I say on the channel, I'm doing actively.
Yeah.
And since I've started mentioning, hey, start meeting your neighbors, reach out to them. It's important, even if you don't think they're like you, or you're pretty sure they're not like you. Meet them, give them a chance. I give people the benefit of the doubt, and I let them prove me wrong. I try to. Some people call it trust. Stacey calls it trust. I trust people fast, but I give people the benefit of the doubt. Like,
He's better
there's
than me.
good in most everybody, and give them the opportunity to show you, what kind of person they are, and that's really been working out. I've made 2, 3 lifelong friends, maybe 4.
Yeah,
4
he
or 5
has.
maybe, since I made that video or talked about it last about meeting your community. You're going to make some good friends. You're going to make some like people that are going to say, hey, what do you need? I just met these people. They're like, hey, what do you need? How can we help? And they didn't know anything about a YouTube channel. They didn't know anything, I just went and met them. Like I said, the Marketplace on Facebook, if you need something, check out Marketplace. You'll have to get through, there's a barrier that everybody's got up because they're so sick of being lied to because people don't feel like they need to show up after they say they will. I don't understand that. That is very aggravating. But after you break the ice and you meet that person, you have that connection, that's a contact right down the road. It's a contact, you've got people around you that know what's going on, tornado here, tornado there, and working together. Community is going to be the only way.
Yep.
Community, well, God first, hopefully a God-fearing community, and then you can move from there through just about anything. It's lone wolfing it. It's not the way to go. And I know I might have told you this story before. I went to church, met a guy that said he wasn't collecting medals, but he was collecting lead because when things get bad, he's going to take whatever he needs. I met that guy at church. We were not like-minded, to say the least. But it's good to know.
Yeah.
It's good to know where he stands,
Yeah.
So there's no downside to meeting the people around you. Only upside.
And I'll tell you another thing I went back to town yesterday. Grocery stores were open back up. But interestingly enough, as you guys all know, they have backup generators, and some of their backup generators went out. So there you go. They had to throw some food away. She said thankfully they didn't have to throw a lot away. But then that probably means that store will be a little bit less on food until they get their next shipment in. So as we've talked about it, you guys, before, we just lived through it. And he and I, thank goodness, were fine. We came through it. You were actually able to help people. I was able to help people. But if you don't have cash on hand, as the stuff we mentioned, tarp, flashlights, water, food, medical supplies, even if you're traveling the road, I know everybody gives me a hard time, but I have a little bug out bag that I put in my car a lot of times.
She does too. You'd be surprised the stuff that's in there.
Yes, I do.
I mean, it's wild. It's like,
I have
man, I wish I had this. I got it in my bag.
They make fun of me.
All my friends make fun of me.
They do.
But it's true. She's got just about everything you need to, in that little bag right there. You
Ah,
should
I have.
make a video on that, everything you got in there, because
I did
we've
it. I
used just
did.
about all of it.
Yeah, I did at one point, but I have like stuff to make a fire. I have extra food in there. I even have one of those warm blanket type things that'll warm up. I keep that stuff with me. God forbid, I have one of those. You gave me one of those thing that comes apart and has a knife and screwdriver. What are they called?
Leatherman.
Leatherman, he gave me one of those. I keep that in there. I keep a flashlight in there. I keep rain gear in there. And it's waterproof. It's so easy. And I'm a short woman, and it fits perfect on my back. You can use it as a backpack. I do it when we go camping, we go kayaking. I put it in my car. Also, of course, I keep the seed and seed dispensers with me. But yeah, it was really
Always.
always.
It's legal in
always.
Louisiana now.
But it's
No, you don't have to have anything.
nope.
You just conceal it
Yep.
and walk around. It's wonderful. It's the way it should be everywhere.
So going through something like this, and especially not having internet and not being able to reach out to people, we finally got cell service. It's in watching the people go through some of this and realizing that people are not prepared at all. They really have no means to help themselves or help others. And I think it was really great that we could be able to reach out.
Yeah, I didn't do
and be a
much.
part. Yes, you did.
I
Oh, he
yeah,
did.
but that's being able to. If you're not part of the problem, you can be part of the solution. That's the whole thing when we talk about finances, when we talk about hedging our wealth, when we talk about that kind of stuff. I would like to talk a little bit about another thing that I learned this week. That some other people are learning, and it has to do with getting 3 bids. I say that often, but this was a case where it was hurtful to both parties, even the party, me, that told them to get 2 other bids. And I'd like to share that story if it's okay.
I would love for you to.
So I went and I did a job for a man, and he's an older gentleman, and I made his bridge to his property 8 inches wider on both sides. Okay. And I said, man, you really need to get a couple other bids. I might be high. I might be high because that's the way it is. A person that doesn't really want to do the job might charge you what they would do it for, because they don't really want to do it anyway. But they'll do it. If it's $1,000 job, I don't really want to do it. Maybe I'll charge them just $5,000. I'll do it for $5,000. Well, somebody else down the road might be really hungry. They might want the job more and have more experience and can do it faster. Well, this person that I'll tell you the rest of the story in a minute. But this person didn't do that. Like me, and just said, okay, do it. Well, that was all good. But what happened was the person that I had lined up to do the job in my truck and my equipment had a trouble showing up. He had lots of excuses, and he had a lot of problems, and it turned out that I had to go do the job myself. And the job, I thought it was reasonable, but he didn't. But here's the thing. Here's the takeaway. He's happy with it. They just thought it was a little high. Well, they didn't realize material, just for the material, was $1,000. Not counting me paying my labor and like the people I have to pay. But if they would have gotten 2 other bids, they would have known, hey, this guy was here, this guy was here, and this guy was here, and we took this guy because of these certain reasons, and they would have known what to expect. And then nobody has to go through any of that. It's like it works for like if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the other party. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's important to me to do a good job, a professional job everywhere I go. Like, leave it clean. When you leave, it ought to look like, man, somebody was here and they cared. They did a jam up job. Yeah, it was a little expensive, but look what I got. And that goes for anybody, electrician, plumber, welder, any kind of profession. You don't want to be the cheapest. You do not want to be the cheap guy. You don't want to be he'll do it for a 12-pack guy. You do not want to be that guy. You want to be Oh yeah, Taylor Welding. He's a little expensive, but man, when he leaves, it is right. And he does what he says. That's what I want to be. So, but I can only be that if you'll get another bid. That way you'll know the difference. You don't know if you're getting a good deal or not. And neither do I. I don't know what somebody else would do it for. So,
Well, it's your reputation
get
too.
3 bids. And Stacey sells precious metals for Miles Franklin.
It's your reputation too, Chris.
Right.
I mean, when you don't show up and you do a bad job and you have to call and have repairs. I mean, the same thing when I sell precious metals. It's my reputation. And when something doesn't go right, it's my place to
That's
fix
all
it.
you really got.
And so it's
your
true.
word.
And I'll tell you, we say this all the time. Get 3 bids on whatever you do. I tell you guys, we tell you that with precious metals. I just had
All the time.
someone else call me, no names mentioned, but they called me and they had bought some precious metals. They sent me the invoice and asked me to review it. Remember I was telling
man,
you?
that's
It's another
bad.
one. I mean, it's like weekly. And
What was the name of that company?
I'm not going to say names on this one right
I'm
now.
gonna.
Anyway, so
I got to figure that out because we got to start diming them out.
I've tallied it up what I would have charged him, and I would have charged him about $105,000. They charged him $150,000, so that means they took $45,000 of his money, and he actually called them back. I got to give him credit. He called them back, and I said, "You're welcome to give him my quote. You're welcome." And
What'd they say?
they're just kind of crawfishing right now. He's going to see if they'll hopefully maybe make some of it right. But you guys get 3 bids, call me. I'll give you the price list. We've said this over and over, and Chris just went through that with that guy, and he said he's not doing it again. He said unless someone gets 3 bids, you bid out the job.
And here's the thing: you could possibly get a little better deal at a different broker, but you got to. What are you actually getting if there's a hang-up? Because a lot of times something happens. Something happens with
There's
this or
always
something
something.
in the bank. That who's going to have your back? Is it worth
Yep.
that extra nickel? For somebody to be advocating for you when you're doing a big transaction like that.
Yep.
It's like having a poor real estate agent.
Oh, we've been down that road. That's
Yeah.
actually how I became a real estate agent. Is we bought our first house, and we almost lost that first house because of a lender, and I was like, man.
All the things that can go wrong. I mean,
Yes.
you name it. And not to mention being stressful. It's like the most stressful thing people do in
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
is buy a new house, move, all the emotions that come with it. And if you got somebody rock solid that you know's fighting for you and they're not trying to work the deal because for their benefit, they're doing it because they want to maintain their integrity and their word and everybody make money and do good. That's, to me, it's just so much worth that little extra. If it is, most of the time it's not. Hey, but real quick,
Okay.
watch out for faith-based companies when it goes to precious metals. I will leave you with that. Oh, we're faith-based. As soon as I hear that, red flags go up everywhere. When they're bragging on the front end about being faith-based, what does that mean exactly? Kind of pin them down. What do you believe? What is Facebook? What do you mean by that? And the last company started with the first book in the Bible. Called me wanting to peddle precious metals for them. I was like, well, what are your prices? What are your, what are you doing? He's like, oh, well, you're going to make a lot of money. I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? It was, maybe eight times?
What we make
7 or 8 times what I would normally make.
is impossible.
Guess who pays for that?
You. Yeah. So, for example, the other day when someone called me the other day, they were selling this specialty coin, and I would have charged them $40 premium. They charged them $500. So when someone says, "Hey, we're just going to charge you a percentage," and they don't tell you your exact spot and premium, that is a red flag. But I don't want to go too much into the silver. Real quick, I want to tell you
I
guys
just
though.
don't want people to get ripped off.
No,
That's
and
it.
regardless of anything. That's why we say get 3 bids. Real quick, silver right now is $30.93. We're still above the $30 mark. Gold's $24, $14, and 60 cents. I will email you a price list if you'd like it. If not, don't worry about it. You can call and ask me. And I was going to tell you, it's very interesting. An article just came out, and one of the subscribers on Twitter actually sent it to us about the gold to silver ratio. And I just, real quick, I'd like to just
Go
touch
for
on
it.
this real quick.
That's a
So It
Great
says it's
ratio.
hovering around $80. It kind of goes up and down. It'll go like to 78, and then it goes to 81. It's been hovering around that. That means it takes, when they say that, it means it takes about 80 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. And that is pretty high. I think the highest we ever hit was around the COVID area. We were like 123 to 1. So it took 123 pieces of silver to buy 1 ounce. Typically, it falls back to like 30, 40%, 30 pieces of silver, 40 pieces. And so they're anticipating, this is a zero hedge, based on what's happening right now. And by the way, we have the Republican committee convention coming out this week. We've had the Federal Reserve coming out and saying different things. They're anticipating that silver is going to take a little bit of a rise and make that ratio go a little smaller again. Will it? I don't know. But I thought this was very interesting because it's one of the highest it's been, except for pretty much when COVID hit. So they're anticipating that that's going to snap back a little bit. So that means silver will go higher.
That is an excellent way to figure out how to adjust your portfolio. When you come up with the percentage that you want to invest in precious metals, when you figure it out, a lot of people are figuring it out. They're coming up with it. And I had a guy reach out, one of the community members that just found around here. What would you call that? Immediate, within 10 miles of me.
Yeah, he did.
He reached out and said, "Hey, I'm starting to understand precious metals, but why? Can you make some videos about why you would want to do that?" I kind of think I don't talk about it much because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. We're all a bunch of stackers, and that's the end of it. But let me know if you would like some different precious metals, like from the ground up, why we would want to invest in precious metals in the first place. And I walked him through it, but I would just let me know in the comments if that would be good or you're tired of it. Because sometimes I feel like people get tired of it.
So I have a question for the community. Oh, go ahead.
Let me talk a little bit more about the silver to gold ratio. There's another one I'd like you to follow. And this came from the Financial Prepper channel. The chicken to silver ratio. It's holding strong. One laying chicken and 1 ounce of silver are the same. They have been since I started talking about it, and it's keeping up. Actually, a laying chicken's around $35 actually.
Silver and eagles,
but
about
it's
that.
with premium.
Yeah.
So it's real. An ounce of silver with premium and a laying chicken, a laying hen.
Yeah.
So far, that is maintaining. So we'll see how it holds up in the future because the price of eggs, when it comes to inflation, is one of those things that really goes. I had it wrote down over there forever. What they did in Venezuela, what the price of eggs did, and it's right there. So watch the chicken to silver ratio as well.
So speaking of that, I have a mom hen right now sitting on 10 eggs. So what does that give me? 10 times 35? She's sitting on $350. And they should be hatching by this coming weekend.
It's so much easier to let the mama do it. We've done the whole incubator thing.
Yeah, we have.
And it's
easier to
let mom do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work out and she actually eats the babies. But
that's very rare.
Sometimes it does, and you don't have to do it. She does all of it.
Yep. So we're gonna have babies, and we got a new dog. We'll have to introduce you to later. But
matter of fact, after this video, I'd like to go make a video on how we do it because we segregate the laying, the one sitting on the eggs, and we make her comfortable and let her do her thing. And she just does it all herself in one area, and it's been working out really well.
It does.
So
as soon as I find, I've got 2 that's trying to become moms, but I only let 1 at a time become a mom. And so I take her and take the eggs, put her in a separate location, and so she's completely safe. She actually has double layers, so nothing can get to her. And yeah, we let her sit there, and then I honestly take her out once the babies get big enough, and let her. But we'll describe how we do that. We've been pretty successful
walk you through
with that.
in a little short video. I'll make it after this one because we're down on our chickens are down. We've
lost a few.
24, 20 something, and now we're down about 18. They die. One of them choked on a crawfish head. Don't feed your chickens crawfish, by the way. And they just, stuff happens.
Yeah, it does.
Is there
The only other thing I wanted to hit on, because if you guys get in the comments, I would like to know any suggestions that you guys have. If you've been through storms, what you've learned, what you're doing in your community. I'm actually reaching out Tuesday, and I'm going to another event where I want to try to reach another area of community. It's a farm, and so I'm curious to see what I guess you guys are doing. I'm interested. I would like to know, maybe you guys could we could get some tips from you. But I really quick too, I wanted to talk about the AT&T, the hack that just happened. If you guys have anything to do with AT&T, looks like everything that you have done in the last time period, every person you've texted, called, has been documented and leaked. They said that they didn't record your text messages, but we guys probably know that's not true. So do you think it was like a government thing, or do you think it was just like just someone just? I mean, that's a huge that's a huge leak. I mean, think about it. If you're at AT&T, every person you've called, every person you've texted, it is now out there. They're tracking it, monitoring it. What would be the purpose? I mean, why would you?
Well, yeah, the information is valuable. Like data. Data is
They
like
pay
the
for
new
that.
oil.
They pay for that. The government pays. They pay third-party people to do that. So I kind of
data is.
Go ahead.
According to one of the oil sheiks,
Data's the new oil.
data is right up there with oil. That's how important it is to these people.
So
control is, and how they do it is by knowing everything about you. All this is going to get worse. All of this hacking and your data being stolen and all that is all going to get worse. You should definitely have a VPN for sure. I use Surfshark. I don't. They seem to be really good. And somehow or another, my data has gotten sold to these politicians. Yes. I get 5 texts a day from everybody wanting me to give them money and call me by name. It's
so
crazy.
Back to this real quick. So that's another reason why you guys, when you call me, I ask you don't text me your information as far as like your routing number and account number and different things like that. Just call me. But think about this for a second. I was listening to a guy talk about this, and he said if it comes to the point where we're obviously monitored, everything that we do, things are being hacked, how do you communicate? He said we're so used to just texting everything out there, texting all your information. He goes, how do you communicate then? Even if you pick up the phone, it's being recorded who you call. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, at some point you might just have to go back face to face on certain things, because you don't want everything recorded or tracked. Anyway, I don't know. It made my head just kind of start thinking. And so that's kind of some of the reason why I do that. What is that?
Stop staring.
Stop staring.
I'm trying to read the comments on my phone. I'm not mean mugging you the whole time.
Stop staring. All right.
There will be no CBDC. There will be no CBDC. That is that's impressive to know that for sure. When I hear things like that, it means you know more than everybody, and you're 100% certain that there will never be a CBDC. See, I have the ability to think a little bit outside the box, like I could be wrong. Like you could possibly be wrong. I mean, that's fact, right? You've been wrong before, maybe? Well,
I'm not even going to comment on that.
What if you're wrong and there is a CBDC and then you're just wrong? What happens then? Well, you have to adjust. So you might as well learn about it and take appropriate measures just in case. I think there will be an attempt, and more than likely the first one will fail, maybe. And maybe the next thing doesn't. But know for sure a one world government, a new world order is being put into motion. It has been for a long time. And this is all part of it. Central bank digital currencies make perfect sense. They fit right in there with the big plan. And yeah, I don't know. It could be putting afterburners on a dying currency. That's what I feel like it is. But there's no telling how these superpowers are going to manipulate this to where it works out for them. And globally, the haves and the have-nots get further apart. That is what they have in mind. Remember, you are the carbon they intend on reducing. One person emits carbon through, we're doing it right now, but I'm not sure if they believe it. I think they 100% want less carbon, and the only way you do that is, I think you know the answer. So I believe all that. I believe everything we talk about, and their actions prove that. Everything they do proves that. So you could be wrong. I could be wrong. Hey, nobody knows for sure.
Okay. Speaking of that, I was talking to a lady, and I got a question for the community then, and because we'll have people call all the time. We're not financial advisors, let's just say that, but we've lived, we've learned, and if somebody tells you 100% this is going to happen, at this point, I really think they're lying. They don't know, because we don't know. We have no idea between now and the election what's going to happen. There are so many different things to speculate on, but I got a question for you guys. If you needed, and if you're listening right now, maybe you'll get some answers, because she called and asked me. If you have a house right now, and your house has gone up in value, but you desperately need work in the kitchen, the floor's sinking in, you can't even sell it the way it is. You have a house that is somewhere else that you own outright, and you own about $60,000 on your current house. So she was asking, do you get a HELOC to fix the house? Do you sell the house or get a HELOC and then sell the house? Do you sell the other house that you have, the rent house, and pay for the repairs? What would you guys do? So, because she called and asked, and I said, man, you'd have to run the numbers. You're going to have to sit down and run the numbers. So you've got a house that has to have repairs, even if you sell it. Floor sinking in the kitchen. You owe $60,000 on it, but it's worth quite a bit now, hundreds of thousands.
So she's got a lot of equity in this
Yes.
house that she only owes $60,000 on.
Yes. So do you fix up the kitchen and sell it? Do you get a HELOC? Do you sell the rent house and then do the kitchen and continue to live there?
Well, I'm not into telling people what to do.
Me either. So I said, you're going to have to run the numbers. But I was curious
But
what
the
you guys
numbers don't
thought.
lie. And when I think of a HELOC, I think of variable rate.
Yep.
I think of we don't know where the interest rates are going, and I know some people right now that's really close to us that are figuring out how bad it actually is when interest rates go up. So they're only paying about $100 or so out of the $1,500 on this HELOC. So it's like a loan that won't ever be paid off.
Yeah.
Now,
HELOCs scare me because if you don't have a way to pay it off in a few months or have an income,
that's it.
passive
Few
income,
months.
yeah,
Less than a year.
Yep.
And if you for sure can't do that, don't even think about it. If you're getting a HELOC to go on vacation, man, you're selling your future. You're taking advantage of your future now, and you will have to pay that back in different form, like sweat from your brow in a poor life. There's a lot of people that do that. They choose to live now. I hear it all the time. Why I choose to live now? I was talking to a guy the other day, and he'd always give me a hard time about my truck. I still do, drive junky work trucks. All we do is work out of it. They get torn up, and I just buy the old 7.3s, and they run forever. And I got the last one for $3,500.
Yeah.
And I've put 210,000 miles on it, and I haven't spent maybe 5,000 on it the whole time. And this fella has had 3 or 4 new trucks, and so he spent probably 250,000, maybe more, that in the same time frame. So I've essentially made 240,000 more just by not doing that. It seems really simple to me, but he told me, he's like, well, that's what I like. And I said, hey, I don't fault him for it. That's what he likes to do. He likes to live now, in the now, and just whatever happens in the future happens. That's a big part of the reason I was able to retire at 40 from pipe welding.
Yes.
That was that was the goal, and it worked out. So some people think differently, but if you like to live in the now and have new vehicles, go for it. They don't do much for me. It's kind of a point A to B thing. I could care less about Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I really, if you ever see me in one,
It's not his.
yeah, it's not going to be mine. And I mean, I think they're neat to sit in and ride around in, but it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't. But I guess the ultimate flex is being out of debt.
Yep.
Good debt is fine. If you understand good debt, bad debt. We'll do some rental property videos when it's time. I really miss having my rental properties. We sold ours, you know, but I really miss it. It was a lot of fun.
So somebody just said, I think it was M&J, said you were talking about the silver ratio with the eggs. They're gonna call it an egg coin.
Egg coin.
I like that. We could mint our own and put an egg chicken on there.
Egg coin. Yeah, well, it could be the chicken. Yeah, like here, this is a laying hen, and you could just actually hand it back and forth. Laying hen, piece of silver.
I like that.
Like boom,
Like
the
that.
transaction's over. It's a solid.
Anyway, I haven't got to read all the comments. I'll try to go back and read some.
Let's
of
read
them.
a few.
Somebody said
Sheep
sheep
coin.
coin. There you go. That's what you guys would be doing.
Pete,
So drive
he's a
junk
good
and
dude.
avoid.
Pete's a good dude. I've met him. If you've met me, leave a comment. I'd like to see. I've been around all over the place. I haven't met Charger Mopar.
I know he said drive junk and avoid theft.
I'd like to meet Charger Mopar. He's an interesting guy. Mr. Eddie Warner. He has
Yep.
given away silver on this channel.
Yes, he has.
I've talked to him. I've talked to him about trading. A lot of you are learning to trade futures and learning. I'm not sure how Mr. Eddie's doing, but I'm gonna tell you, he's a great person.
I think I have one more silver, Mr. Eddie, to give away from your
Do
Eagles.
you?
I think I have one more in there.
You wanna give it away?
Sure. I
Or
don't
you
have
wanna
it
make
on
sure
me.
you got it first?
No, I do have one more. At least have one more, maybe two. I can't remember.
Mr. Eddie, for the people that are still here, has gotten one more silver eagle that he would like to give. That's really cool. To give away wealth like that is awesome. And there's no strings attached. You don't have to go like Twitter and sign up for this and that and a bunch of hoops. This is it right here. In a
Do it now.
Well, I was
Hashtag.
trying to get through the comments. Can I just pick somebody in a minute? If you, yeah, okay, hashtag silver. Okay, hashtag silver for the next minute, and then we'll give it away. But I was trying to see people that I've met personally that I can vouch for that are great people. I know a lot of you haven't met that I still know are great people.
So I see a lot of people that I talk to, though. Oh, Vinny War Dog's on here. I've talked to you guys. Miss Mary Post, talked to you guys. Say, M&J, oh my goodness, so good to... M&J, Chris has met you, and I've never met you. I'm meeting you one day.
Yeah, we try to get her out. She's a homebody.
Some of you guys, though, that I
She's a
talked
good
to...
person. She's trading. A lot of people
Catherine
trading.
Cage, I've talked to you. Some of your names I recognize, some of you guys I don't. But I love it when you call in and I have a
Hashtag
minute and
silver.
can chat with you guys. I learn a lot from you guys. Oh my goodness, I've learned so much from you guys when it comes to scams, what's going on, when it comes to different real estate things that you guys have learned, financial things that you guys have learned. Oh, by the way, because of you guys,
Glad to meet you too, it's.
we learned about that if your account doesn't stay active for a year, that the state can take it. I will remind you guys again, make sure your accounts, if you have, a lot of people have savings accounts that they put over there and don't that's how a lot of the purchases are done. It's getting super slow on that. And if you have a savings or anything like that, checking that you have not touched or look at, go take a look at it. Someone just the other day, they had a CD. They had a CD that they had not touched base with for like a year. They went to pull the money out. It was gone. Did not even exist. They had to fight to get that back. So anything you have in the bank, you really need to just check up on, I would say monthly, and just make sure the funds are still there, fees aren't being charged, something like that. I'll get off my rant, but that's,
Well, these banks are headed for.
well, 63 right
they're
now
on
are
a
having
crash
issues.
course. Yeah, and they're doing a great job covering up. Everything's hunky dory. Nothing to see here. Banks are crashing. They are smoke and mirrors. They're super busy covering this up. I'd like to touch on what you said before about the lady that had the house that she had equity in and,
Okay.
and the 60 grand.
And then we'll pick a silver, okay?
If that was me, I've just kind of been thinking about it, the best way to answer, because I don't want to tell anybody what to do. If it was me, I would make whatever decision would put the most money in my bank account, in my pocket. There's going to be a time in the future. I still don't think we're there. I don't think we're not going to have another dip. We're not going to ever. Some people think we're never going to have a recession again. We're never going to have a depression. That could never happen because they've never experienced it. I've never experienced a depression. Nobody here has lived through a depression, including Bitcoin. We have not lived through it, and we have something really crazy coming. We've got a lot of wars, rumors of wars, and there's going to be deals in the future, and there's going to be people that are thinking, if I just had a little money, I could buy this. The people that have a little money and good credit are going to do really good. They're going to be able to help get this machine going again. Another thing that's going to help get this machine going again is people that can actually build something. People that can actually do something. Like I hire people all the time that say they can do this, that, and the other, but they actually can't. You know, it's just a bunch of talk. If you can actually do it and do what you say and show up, man, you are going to be so valuable. If you put off I say it all the time, but I like it, the underwater basket weaving degree that will help you none in the future. If you can just kind of maybe think about putting that off, going to indoctrination camp, getting in a bunch of debt, and think about getting into a trade. When I graduated high school, I was making journeyman welder pay, and everybody hated me for it. I was like, not even 19 years old, making the same amount of money that the welders that were 40 and 50 years old been doing it forever. But I could pass the test. I could make the welds. It catapults you in the future, in the short term, like really quick. You're like, bam, and then you can kind of start off closer to the top. Instead of starting off in a whole bunch of debt, enslaving these young kids when they're so young, they don't know any different. They don't know. They're just doing what they think's right, I guess. Or maybe they're going to party. I don't know. I went to college for 3 days.
Well, okay, I have a different opinion on that, and we've discussed this in previous videos. I am not against college degrees. However, I am against going straight from high school. You have no idea what you want. I graduated from high school and I got a job, and that's when I figured out what was needed. I was like, oh, this is needed. This will pay me money if I get this type of degree. I worked, put myself through college. By the way, I did not get loan forgiveness, and I got a job and was making pretty decent money working in Washington, D.C. because I figured out there was a need. I said, oh, this would be a good area instead of just randomly going and getting a degree. Because I started out in criminal justice, and I realized, oh, that doesn't get you very far. So I switched and went to computer science and did programming, and that's what helped me. So I agree with you, but I think there's some benefit to it because that's what helped me.
Right, but would you say a lot of things have changed since then?
I think you need to get a job first and see the need. I don't think you just need to randomly go to college and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're interested in. You don't know what there's a need out there for. You just get a degree and you hope when you leave that there's a place to have a job. You need to see if there's a need for stuff.
Talking to Granddaddy the other day, and you guys that have seen my grandfather, he's still sharp. And he's the one that told me, said, you're not going to college, are you? I was like, no. Well, my parents want me to because I have a free scholarship, but no, I'm not going to go. He's like, good, just go to work. Well, he told me the other day, he said, the pastor of our church, his son, went and got a degree in weather storm chasing or something like that. Guess where he's working? McDonald's.
Yeah.
4-year degree, working at McDonald's. It's not the same as it used to be.
No, it's not. I agree with you.
The 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, when I was in school, if you don't do good on this test, if you don't go to college, you're going to be a ditch digger or a trash man. And I thought, no, I'm not. I'm going to be a welder. You know, it was really, really simple to me. I kind of knew what I was going to do, and that's what I did. But some people don't have that. They don't have they're like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to go to college. That's all. So maybe think through that.
All right, well, let's pick some
a
silver.
silver. I'm going to scroll up and down all the way to the top, and I'm going to, let me find the end of the silver. All right. That's the end. I'm going to scroll down and back up, back down. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't see your finger on it.
Larly surface. Larly surface. Hey, if you're in another country, I got bad news.
I can't get it to you. I tried Canada the other day, and they sent it back.
But,
Wouldn't go through customs.
Larly, hit me with another comment. This is
Or text me 318-564-5823.
Surface. Larly surface. Yeah, text Stacey. And if you live in the United States, I guess we should have said that first.
Yeah, I tried Canada. I really did. I've tried it twice now, and they sent it back. They wouldn't get it through customs. So sorry, you guys.
They won't do it.
All right.
But guys, thank you for being here. Get to the end of our comments. And I appreciate the moderators being here. They're really good people, too. They just want the best for everybody.
Yes, she said, yep, in Pennsylvania.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, congrats. Hey, text me. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, text 318-564-5823, and I'll drop it in the mail this week.
Absolutely. And if you need any precious metals, give Stacey a shot
That's
at
awesome.
one of
Congrats.
your bids. And guys, have an awesome, awesome day. Thanks for being here. Later.